What's up, everybody? Welcome back to High Off and Food. This is your host, Danny, also known as Wanny, and welcome to a podcast that is strictly about the hottest takes of the beautiful game of football. We all know what time it is. It's World Cup season, baby. Let's get it. Throughout this episode, I will be sharing my thoughts, opinions, and reactions to the matches that occurred on day 4 of the World Cup, and those matches include Croatia versus Morocco, Belgium versus Canada, Germany versus Japan, and Spain versus Costa Rica. So let's just dive into it, and we'll start with the first match. The first match of day 4 was Croatia versus Morocco, and we all vividly remember Croatia's awesome run in 2018, where they came in second place at the World Cup. And today's match against Morocco was their chance to demonstrate that they have the potential to make it far in this tournament once again. But today's result against Morocco left us with a few doubts. I rated Croatia because Croatia has a great midfield that is composed of 3 very, very high-level players in Modric, Brozovic, and Kovacic. And they also have a good mixture of experience and youth in the defense with Vardiol, who plays at Red Bull Leipzig and is a very young, up-and-coming center back, and Dejan Lovren, who is very experienced and has been representing Croatia at a national level for a very long time now. However, the problems weren't really with the defense, but rather with the attackers and midfielders and moving the ball into the final third. At times, it seemed like they lacked creativity, and the manager has even mentioned after the game that his team was missing courage. And I could totally agree with that. It looks like they were being too cautious with the ball and didn't want to risk making a mistake. And sometimes that causes for players to be indecisive. They needed to push forward more, and players like Perisic and Kovacic, who are capable of bringing that spark, had to step up. However, they were flat and plain out uninteresting to watch. The only one player who I saw giving it his all was Luka Modric, and he's 37 years old. But it goes to show that age doesn't really portray how you play, because at that age, he was still the one playing the hardest. And he's their captain, and he needed a little bit of more help today. Another factor that was missing that they had in the last World Cup was a striker. I think a decent striker would have helped them a lot today. And last tournament, they had Mario Mandzukic, who was a traditional number 9, who can hold the ball and take shots as well. And I feel like Croatia missed him badly today. They needed somebody who could cause harm to the defense and maybe check in and play with the midfielders a little more. But as for Morocco, this was a great point for them, a point that seems like 3 points. But although Morocco is the underdog of this group, they show that they are not to be played with. They have a great squad, and key players like Hakimi, Saiz, Mazraoui, and Ziyech that all play for clubs in the big leagues. Morocco played the way they had to and earned their points. However, I did recognize a pattern. This is the third match that results in a 0-0 draw, and I hope it's the last, because honestly, this game was very defensive, and at times that could be boring. And, despite that, the teams shared a point, and they both still have a chance to advance, especially after Canada lost to Belgium. And now that we're on that topic, we could go ahead and dive into that match. Belgium versus Canada was one of the matches that I could not wait to watch, especially because Canada is one of those national teams that is up and coming. Canada came in first in the CONCACAF qualifiers and have a very young and explosive squad, especially with Alphonso Davies and Jonathan David being some of their most known players. CONCACAF did everything right in the qualifiers and they earned and deserved that first place during the qualifiers. And, they have a very young squad, but Belgium, on the other hand, has an aging defense. And although they still possess world-class players like Courtois and De Bruyne, their defense is their biggest and weakest link. But as far as this match, in my opinion, I thought it was crazy. Canada, in my opinion, is the CONCACAF team that, despite their loss, has played the best in the World Cup. It shows why they came in first, and today shows that they might be better than the U.S. and Mexico. And that's hard for me to admit as a Mexican. But at times, Canada was controlling the pace and getting to Belgium's half and their box very often. But what I think is that the team definitely lacked experience. There were moments when they could have taken shots at goal, but didn't. And that just shows you that some of these players are inexperienced, You need to take those shots. It doesn't matter if they go in, but you have to take the shot. The only shot you miss is the one you didn't take. And you can't score if you don't shoot. They did have a lot of shots, but very, very few were on target, especially compared to the total amount of shots that they had. I think the stat is something similar to 20 shots and 3 on target, so they have to be way more clinical. On top of that, the penalty by Alphonso Davies was not the greatest, but at the same time, this is why I mentioned that Courtois would be a difference maker in these games. Courtois saved that PK, and in one of my previous episodes, I did mention him as my favorite to win the Golden Glove and be claimed as the best goalkeeper of this tournament. And today's crucial save actually helps my case. The penalty also shows inexperience on behalf of Davies, because you can tell he didn't really choose a side to shoot at. Instead, he was trying to send Courtois the wrong way. Just like Lewa's PK against Ochoa yesterday, it was very soft and low. And by no means does that discredit the goalkeeper's efforts, but at the World Cup, you cannot shoot and make it that easy for the goalie. For instance, take Bell as an example. His PK against the USA was shot with height, power, and accuracy. He knew that PK had to be slotted away in order to get a result. And he did just that. He scored that PK and saved Wales in order to gain a point in their group. Belgium played the way that I expected them to, as they relied on possession and scored the only real chance they had in the game. That's experience right there. You need to finish the chances you have in order to win. However, this group is far from over, and it's far from over for Canada because Croatia and Morocco tied, keeping it close between them three as far as points. The next games were part of Group E, which has two of football's biggest powerhouses in Germany and Spain, both of them being favorites to advance from this group. Germany is known for being the greatest opportunists. They do not forgive in front of goal, and they are also known for being ruthless and cold-hearted when they play. However, the Japanese goalie, Shuichi Ganda, wasn't taking any of that. Although Germany scored first in the first half, the Japanese team surprisingly turned it around, and if the Saudi Arabia upset wasn't enough, we witnessed another one. Japan came back and took the lead. As far as the Germans, they did everything they could to equalize. They even had 70% of the possession. But it wasn't enough for them to save themselves from the loss, because Ganda had 8 crucial saves to keep Japan's lead. And another merit is shout out to the Japanese coach as well. His strategies were great. At halftime, he changed the formation, and both of his substitutes bagged goals. which shows that the substitutions he made influenced the game. But most importantly, he instilled determination and grit into these players' minds, and I feel like that helped them the most. In the World Cup, you need to play with heart and you need to play with determination to get a result. On top of that, many of his call-ups play in Germany, whether it's in the Bundesliga or the Bundesliga 2, but they still play in Germany and they are very aware of how Germans play. So I feel like that experience of playing with Germans taught them lessons that they were able to learn and use in this match. Grit, determination, and a heroic performance from Japan's goalie, including a quadruple save, helped Japan secure this surprising victory. Nobody expected this. Germany needs to tighten up their defense and start putting away chances. But, it's hard. You never know when a goalie is going to be on their game. But Germany definitely got a reality check today. And this game shows, once again, that anything can happen at the World Cup. Although Germany didn't look like the top dogs today, the other favorites in this group certainly did. And now I'm asking myself, is Spain back? Remember how dominant they were from 2008 to 2012 with 2 Euro Championship wins and a World Cup win as well? After that, they fell off for quite some time. But as of now, Luis Enrique has been revitalizing and developing the Spanish national team. And although he left big names like Thiago Alcantara, Sergio Ramos, and David De Gea off the roster, his result against Costa Rica shows the fans that they should just trust his process. The team did what Germany was supposed to do today. Spain had a dominating victory against Costa Rica where they trashed them 7-0 and had 82% possession, which is insane. That means that Costa Rica barely got the ball today. In fact, Costa Rica couldn't even get one single shot off. Spain's team is incredibly young, and they are the third youngest squad in this tournament. Despite that, these players are battle-hardened and are ready for war. They play very maturely, and one of their standouts was Gabi, as he became the second youngest goal scorer ever. And he can also make a shout for the Best Young Player award too. Unless his temper lets him down, because sometimes he is a little feisty. But other than that, he's a great talent, and he played amazing today. This result is very, very tricky though. Spain's next match is against Germany, and Germany needs this victory desperately. Germany needs to bounce back from their loss, so it's going to be a very tight game between them two. Japan will face a weak Costa Rica and could potentially earn another 3 points, leaving them at 6 and in first. While Germany has the potential to beat Spain, and if that happens, Spain and Germany will be equal on points, leaving it to the last matches to determine who will qualify. Japan is in form and they are inspired, so Spain really has to be careful with what result they get against Germany. Japan's result today complicates it for Germany, but if Germany is able to beat Spain, then it's game on. But as of right now, we could potentially see one of the biggest names eliminated from the tournament. Japan already beat Germany. Who's to say that they cannot beat Spain? So this group has suddenly become very interesting, but it's only going to be interesting if Germany is able to come out of that hole and bounce back. But my eyes are on Germany versus Spain, and I can't wait for that game. Well, that's all I have for day 4 of the World Cup. If y'all have any other opinions or thoughts, make sure to share them in the comments. But this is it for now. This was Danny from High Off El Foot. I'll see you on the day 5 episode of World Cup season, baby. Let's get it.